very much, Chairman, and thank you for allowing me ask the question. Minister, rural regeneration funding has been with us now for the last number of years, and the question is quite clearly, what kind of funding has been allocated to the constituency of Cork South West with the rural regeneration funds, and where has that money been allocated since the fund was set up? Thank you.
Minister.
And thank you, Deputy Collins, for raising this. The Rural Regeneration and Development Fund provides funding for the development and construction of capital projects in towns and villages and rural areas across Ireland. To date, 215 projects have been approved for funding of €395 million for projects costing €542 million across the country. The fund is central to achieving the objectives and key deliverables of our rural future. That's the Government's 5-year policy for rural Ireland. The projects supported by the fund assist in the regeneration of rural towns and villages by addressing vacancy and dereliction and positioning them for further growth through regeneration and town centre renewal. The fund also invests in strategic projects that contributed to further economic development in rural areas. 3 projects located in South West Cork have been allocated RRDF funding of €9.6 million for projects worth €22.7 million. The projects are the Kinsale Library project, for which Cork County Council was awarded €2.15 million under the first call for Category 1 applications in 2018. And 2 projects which I awarded funding for under the 4th call for Category 1 applications late last year. And these are the Bandon Town Centre Renewal and Regeneration project, for which Cork County Council was awarded €5.5 million, and the Nyart Enterprise Creative and Digital Hub on Sherkin Island, for which Cornanillan was awarded over €1.9 million. Projects allocated funding in South West Cork, they're large-scale capital projects that will have a lasting impact and be truly transformational for these communities.
Thank you very much, Minister, for your reply. And, obviously, funding to any community is important, and I certainly would welcome any monies that have gone to Kinsale Library and the Bandon Town Centre and the Sherkin Island. But you said there's 215 projects in total, and I think this scheme is up and running for about 5 years. It's incredible, to say the least, that Cork South West has only ended up with 3 projects across the line that much time. And, I know from fact myself there's a project that had been in Dursey Island that has been pulled. There's a project in Skull Harbour, project prior to you becoming Minister, where the committee were brought up here and congratulated that they had the money got. And a week later, when the money was announced, it had slipped away to some other constituency. So what I'm saying is that projects like the Skull Harbour one, that would have been a huge benefit to the whole of the Mizen Peninsula. Areas that find it difficult to survive in winter times. And I think there needs to be a bigger focus in communities like Cork South West and
Thanks, Deputy Minister.
For this funding.
Thank you, Deputy. Well, actually, I hope to go back shortly to Kinsale to open that new library. I think it's well on, and I was in Bandon. They have got the funding there, $5 million for the town. I think it's $5 million for the town centre regeneration. I was actually in Bandon. It's earlier on in the year there. And indeed, I met your brother Danny down there. He's the Cahirlook, and we had a great day there. And there's a fabulous park in Bandon that we visited, and that was funded through the LEADER programme. I had a good conversation with the local community there. I was talking to business people, and I think that the $5 million in Bandon is going to make a huge difference in the town. And I wish them well with their work. They did highlight the issue of dereliction, and that funding should be able to assist in many different ways in helping them develop the centre of the town. When I was there, I went up to the farmers' market as well. I also visited the local producers co-op that they sell their products there. So and I know that this money that they have got is going to help them improve their town. As I said, there was 3 applications came in and they were successful. Now, I can't, we have to get the applications before we can approve the funding. And we've been engaging with Cork County Council. If you look overall through the whole of Cork, there's been a lot of funding provided in terms of all of the different funding streams from my department, whether it's town and village, whether it's outdoor recreation or streetscape enhancement. So there's a lot of funding out there, and I'd encourage them to put in their applications.
Thank you very much, Minister. And you may be aware, and I hope the Cork County Council made you aware when you were in West Cork recently, about the AERO report. The AERO report is an independent report drawn up by the Cork County Council, where it has been proven that they have had the lowest amount of funds in Cork County, I'd say over the last 30 to 40 years. They're 40 to 50 years behind funding on roads, on rural regeneration, and town and village, and LIS, and a lot of this is before your time, I accept this, Minister. But that was an independent report, and I've asked the Taoiseach here to acknowledge, the previous Taoiseach to acknowledge that report. I'll be asking the new Taoiseach here to acknowledge that report. That's a shocking indictment of successive governments turning their back on the rural community. And you said you were in West Cork recently, and so was Leo Varadkar at the time when he was Taoiseach there about 6 months ago, and he stood below the project in Schull, the Schull Harbour project that was here perfectly fitting for rural regeneration funds, stood there just like tongue-in-cheek, and at the same time he was a Taoiseach in the government that refused to give them the money, even though they ticked all the boxes. And as I said, were brought up here, got a pat in the back, told they were getting the money by 3 ministers, and took a picture, and pictures went up on the social media, right, but they never got a brown cent. And we need a better focus in places like West Cork and rural Ireland, especially with rural regeneration funds, if we were trying to get communities to survive during a winter period, as they have maybe are able to do during the summer. Thank you.
Minister, final response.
Well, I'm just looking here in town and village alone, Deputy, and West Cork hasn't been doing too badly. I look at Bantry, they got 216,000 as well on top of the RRDF funding. Dunmanway 96,000. Glengarriff got 100,000 for installing a new riverside walk. I was I was at the Beara Peninsula. I was out there and where they're doing wonderful work with that the Beara Walk, and I was the equestrian trail that's there. There's a lot of opportunities, but you have to get the applications in, and if you don't get the applications in, I can't give you the money. I'll be going back again to Cork, no doubt. I was in Bantir. I know it's not in your constituency, but my goodness me, what a wonderful day we had there, and the wonderful, wonderful facilities that we have been able to support there through LEADER, but also through other funding that has been provided. And it's a credit to what they have done as a community, and they got their application in, and they got the funding, and it's a state-of-the-art facility, and indeed your brother was there too, so he'll be able to give you a good briefing on what they were able to do. So I'd encourage communities to come together and work with their local authority and get those applications in. And that's what this department's about. It's about supporting them, but also in terms of applications, they have to stack up as well. Like, people might have good ideas, but they have to have plans, and they have to make sure that it's sustainable, the project, and that it's going to deliver for the people on the ground. And I think that's important, because they're all independently assessed when they come into my department, and some of them don't cut the mustard. But for those that don't, I'd say go back to the drawing board, have a look, engage with the department, see where you fell down, and get the application in for the next time. Because the good news is the money is still there.
Thanks, Minister.